if we take a look at those instructions, and I'm not going to go through all of these instructions, like I'm not going to run the code because I want to get on to the other topics just a little bit. But remember to use this link to docs.microsoft. And honestly, I might even create a brand new project just to see if I can get this to work. But basically what needs to happen, and actually let me copy that code over to the program. And I might have already done that. I'm just going to copy it down here so then I can refer to it a little bit. And so when you're working with data files, remember that basically we've got to open a data file. This one was creating a stream reader. This one was using a stream writer. Now this using directive is actually something kind of new for me. And so I think in order for us to write out to the file or append, we might need to create this new stream writer. The problem is once we create an output for, or a file for output, here's what I don't know, is if you look at the sample code down here, they created a first line plus environment.newline. Then they created a document path, which is their environment, get the folder path, and that's literally just you're copying that. And if you take a look up here, we also found, you know, an environment get path. Now this one used the folder my music. The one down here is using the folder my documents. And then this one's a file.writeAllText, and it's combining the document path, and then notice it's writefile.txt. So it's looking for this file in that path. And then it created a string array with 2 additional lines. Now we don't know that they're lines, it's actually 2 strings. This is the first string, this is the second string, and then it appends. Now in order to append, it's going to append all lines to the document path, and it's the document path that's going to then look for this text file, and then it's going to append the lines. Now here's what I don't know 100%. The lines here were was an array of strings. So I wanted, when I was practicing mine, just to append some text, but this is using the format for appending strings. So what I would need to do is come back here and do a little bit more research, which is what you need to do also. How to write text to a file, and then I would look at some of the samples here. This right here is the same example that they were looking at, and it says the first example creates write lines with all the contents, and then we want to look for appending right here. How to append. And so in order to append, this example adds the following line to the contents of writelines.txt. So it doesn't look like we need all of that code, and we need a using statement right here. So it's going to append this 4th line. So I'm actually going to borrow this code and see if that using statement won't append. So it's not 100% the same as what was here, which is fine. I'm going to hit enter, paste. And now a couple of things. Because I want to append to a file I already have a document path. We did that before. And we had, if I go to the music folder, remember that's where that ended up. And this is what's in my category lines right now. Remember we capitalized everything? So I think possibly I don't need to set my path because I already have that. We used the my music path. I think I just need to append my text. But I have to change a couple things here. What's the name of my text file, please? Yep, so I'm going to change that to cat lines. And then I don't want to write line this. I want to write line, it's like a new category. So these are like plants, so I'm going to say that flowering is a new category for me. Okay, now in order for it to match everything else that I did, what should I probably do with flowering before I should probably uppercase it because that was the method that I used. And so I'm going to run this and it's going to blow up on me because it's got something going on over here. It doesn't like something. Is it just my, oh, I know what it is right here, my comments. So, see if that takes care of my error message there. Oh, it's down here. I do that all the time. It's */ Okay, I'm going to cross my fingers, and hopefully that will append. So the program ran. I go to cat lines, open it up. Did I get it? I did, sorta. But I would count this successful. Did I get that data into this file? Yes. There's some other things going in there, but I don't, blank lines. I'm not going to worry about them right now. And if you have those, I'm not going to worry about it either. So the way that I did that was I used a combination of the example that was posted online, and then I went to the docs.microsoft, and I started to beg, borrow, and steal some of that code to see how it would work. Okay? All right, so that's then, appending to the file. And then you could clean that file up. I kind of did mine on the fly, meaning that I capitalized mine before I added that additional line. Okay? I'm going to move on to the next couple of topics now, unless you guys have questions. Do you have questions? Okay, next couple of topics. Topic 2, this will get you set up for hopefully tonight and tomorrow, is on enumerated types. And enumerated types they're really, really cool. It's you basically creating your own data type. What's kind of cool about them is when you work with enumerated types, you can actually use this word right here, and it will have a numeric value with it. When you create an enumerated type, you have to use the keyword enum. You use the reserved, whatever you want to name your data type. This one's day. And then whatever words you want to use. If you don't set the values, like here it sets Monday's going to be a 1, Tuesday's a 2, Wednesday's a 3, etc. If you don't set the values, it automatically starts at 0, I believe, and goes up. Okay? So sometimes you want to set the days. Then how do you work with that? Well, because it's your own data type, you have to declare something of that type. So workday is of type day. And then if I were to print workday.wednesday, well, what is that going to print? Well, I don't know for sure. Well, there's a couple of ways I could do this. Remember these links. I'm going to go to the links. If you haven't been using these links, you should. Because if I start to look through, here's an example. I could do spring, autumn, or summer, autumn, winter. That's an enumerated type. This one is a different one that sets up specific values that are not linear, like they're not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It says none is 0, unknown is 1, connection lost is 100, outlier reading 200. This is a way for a company potentially to create error codes for a program. And then this one's a little bit trickier. This is the example that comes from the course. Okay, this is kind of cool. If you understand how binary works at all, these are called I think bit flags. They're bitwise logical operators using the pipe or the ampersand. And there might be a couple questions on this. So if I read this, and it's using what we call this bitwise logical operator. If you understand binary, what is 0, 0, 0, 0 in binary? It's 0. What's 0, 0, 0, 1? That would be like if I were to do this in binary. Okay, what's it telling me? No, I don't want to do that. Remember, in binary, like if I have this number 0, 1, 0, 1, what does that equal? And when I have these 4 place values, starting on the right-hand side, and I'm going to space this out just a little bit, those 4 digits. This is the 8's place. Then I have the 4's, then I have the 2's, and then I have the 1's. Because this is 2 raised to the 3rd. The next one is 2 raised to the 2nd. and then 2 raised to the first. Like it's using binary, and 2 raised to the 0th. So if you start to look at those numbers, I'll come back to this here in just a second, but when you're working in binary, and I have the number 0, 1, 0, 1, that means I have 1, 2 to the 0, I have 0, 2 to the firsts, I have 1, 2 to the second, and 0, 2 to the thirds. So that means I'm going to add together 0 plus, what's 2 to the second? The 4 plus no 2's plus a 1. So what is that number? That's 5. So if you go back here and start to look at that, that's what this is doing. See, like 0, 0, 1, 0 is in the 2's column, so that's 1, 2. 0, 1, 0, 0 is 1, 4. So I've never actually used these before, but because they're dealing with binary, they're what we call bitwise operators. And then if I start to work with this, I can say, well, it's basically saying, what's a double pipe? You know, what's a pipe? That's an or statement. So this is saying my meeting days are going to be Mondays or Wednesday or Friday. That's what that's doing. All it's doing is basically putting together all the options for your meeting days. And then you can right line the meeting days, and it's going to output Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And so those bitwise operators, when it mentions that, all it's doing is or and. What's an ampersand? That's going to be an and. So if it says here, I'm going to join a meeting by phone on a meeting day and working from home days, well, that's the intersection of a meeting day and working from home. So you guys look at your meeting days and look at your working home days, and where do they overlap? Where's the and? Well, meeting day is Friday, working at home day is Friday, so that means I'm going to join a meeting by phone on Friday. So you create a days variable, but then you would set it up and say, okay, the meeting days are going to be one of these 3, and then your working at home days is one of these. But then if you need to see where they intersect, you can use the and. So when they start to talk about, back on our lesson, topic 2, and I scroll down, using the bitwise logical or and, then you can combine choices. What happens is it makes your code a lot more user-friendly and readable, because basically it's going to say we're going to join a meeting by phone on meeting days and work days, and wherever those 2 intersect, and it outputs the Friday. So if you look, this is the same example that we just looked at on that docs. So you guys, on your enumerated assignment, this is one where you might not get it all the way done, but you definitely could set up quite a bit of it and have some of the code written in there. So if you want to create just a document file right now, or if you want to go and create a new project, we can talk through just a little bit of this, and maybe kind of plan out that project just a little bit, okay? Except we're going to run out of time. But here's the deal. It asks you to create 6 flowers. Can you create an enumerated type of flowers with those 6 in there? Yeah, I think you could. And so this is what I mean by the fact that you can get at least a little bit of each of these codes and programs a little bit done and a little bit turned in. When it says that, you're going to go back here, and just how they did days, you guys are going to do what? You're going to do flowers, okay? And then here it says, then you also are going to have watering days. So you have a second enumerated type called watering days. And your days, if we take a look, are going to be, and if you look down here, it's going to just be your Monday, Tuesday. So you can actually borrow the code that they had for the days before. Then you're going to write a method garden plan that accepts a flower, and it uses a switch statement and a local variable for watering schedule. And you're going to use water days enum. The method returns a concatenated string for the flower, and the watering days, and the string's going to look like this. Now, even if you don't get the string working 100%, can you guys write a method that returns a string and that accepts a enumerated data? And I would say yes. The thing that might be different about your method when you go to create an enumerated data, your method would still be something like public static. Now what is it supposed to return? A string. And then it's going to be something like, I don't know what it was, the garden, I don't know what it was supposed to be called, schedule. But then you got to bring in the enumerated type, which was it a watering day? Yeah, and I'm kind of making this up, but do you see where like normally you would use like string or double or an array or whatever? You use the name of the enumerated type just like it's your data type. And then whatever you call it there. And then you would write your method. You know your method is supposed to return a string, so here's just an example of, even if it's not finished, you've showed me, even if you can do this much, you've showed me that you can, let me think about this a second, that you can write a method and it's going to return a particular value. Now, where you declare the watering days, you might need to declare watering days outside of main in order for you to be able to work with it within this method. So you might actually have to do your enum watering day, and I'm making this up because I'm forgetting how it goes. If I go back really fast. And I borrow something like this. And this is not 100% correct for what you're supposed to do. But if I'm going to do watering day and something like that, and then if I name this water day, now it doesn't like garden schedule because I haven't used it, etc. But your enums are going to have to be at more of the outer, like the class level, rather than in main. Okay? Otherwise, it's not going to know how to deal with that. All right? That's your introduction to that next unit example. And so if we look a little bit more, in main, you're going to display each of the 6 rows by calling the method garden plan and printing to the console. No need for a variable. Use the enum flower here. And then write unit tests. Now here's the deal. If you still have not gotten your head squared around unit tests, do everything but the unit tests. And at least turn in that much. Okay? And that's going to kind of wrap it up for today.